Alright, we're doing this again, aren't we? For some reason, over-reviewing seasons months after they ended has become a bit of a tradition on this channel. I've only made one video about it, but by making a second one, that's making it a tradition. So let's make it a tradition by going over the Simpsons season, the season I joked about in the last one. Since let's be honest, I have nothing better to do during the 2 weeks they extended this season. But before we go over that, there are a few quick things I want to cover. Firstly, this is all just my opinion coming from my experience playing the season. Just because I say something does not mean it's an objective fact. It's okay to disagree with anything I say in this video, because at the end of the day, if everyone just agreed with me, then this would be a pretty boring video. It's also important to not harass anyone over their opinions on the funny Simpsons season. I know this sounds straightforward, but this is the Fortnite community, I have to say this. And finally, this video will be in chronological order and cover the season as it happened to avoid this just being a giant mess. Meaning that this video is starting with
Springfield!
Island!
Springfield!
Island!
Springfield!
I'm not gonna lie, going in, I was dreading the Simpsons season, and I mean, can you really blame me? This season got leaked in a giant leak back in June, and the way this season was leaked really got me scared for this season. At first, the season leaked as a 32-player mini battle royale taking place on the Springfield map, and for a few months, that's what people thought this season would be. But then we cut to October 2025, when the key art gets leaked, and then the map gets leaked. And wait, season doesn't actually look half bad. Turns out the 32-player leak was actually just for Blitz Royale, and while the Simpsons season would take place on a smaller map, it would only be 80 players. And then you look at the key art and oh, is that the Striker AR? Is that the Thunder Shotgun? Could this season be good? This leak took me from dreading this season to now being cautiously optimistic for the season. And thankfully we wouldn't have to wait much longer, because on October 31st, content creators were allowed to post footage off showing the entire season a day early. Look, say what you want about this, but like, really? Just allowing people to post full gameplay of the season before anyone else got to? It takes a lot of fun out of actually playing the season and discovering things for yourself. We knew about almost everything in the season a day before it happened. Posting off trailers and teasers, sure, that's fine, but showing off everything of the season a day before it happens really takes away a lot of the fun of the first day of the season. But fine, whatever. The live event leading up to the season was just a day away, so we don't have to wait that long until this season is playable for everyone. So let's cut just one more day to November 1st with the Welcome Our Alien Overlords mini-event. Hope and Jones investigate a treehouse that spawned on the island, causing a tear to the spirit realm to begin to form. Jones uses his rift device to close the portal, and it actually works. Until King and Kodos come in and open the portal anyway.
It's a prank, bros!
And now, just like that, the Dark Presence has entered the island, and now we're watching an episode of The Simpsons. Yeah, the rest of this live event is told through our first Simpsons shorts, which reminds me that instead of the season being broken up by updates, it'll be broken up by the shorts that were released over the course of the season. Meaning it's time to go into our first section of the season, Apocalypse Stone.
One of your little, improvements.
Hey, these snacks you gave us are moving!
Our first Simpsons short premiered during the live event. The short starts with King and Kodos flying over the Chapter 6 island, and I just need to say, this island looks so bad in the Simpsons art style. Just look at it, there's so many details missing, and just so much things that are wrong. That bothers me, I don't like it. We then cut to Hope, Jonesy, and Fishstick fighting the Dark Presence, and instead of keeping his design hidden like in the event, they just fully show what he looks like in the Simpsons art style. Gross. King and Kodos help the Dark Presence by killing Fishstick and abducting Hope and Jonesy. Hope throws bricks at transphobic people and takes control of the ship to attack the Dark Presence. The Dark Presence then gets mad and throws us into a wormhole, but we manage to take a piece of the 0 point with us. And then some shenanigans happen and boom, we're in Springfield Island. I'm sure this won't be the last time King and Kodos are relevant, right? The interactions between Hope, Jonesy, and the aliens are really silly, and I love them. It perfectly manages to mix lore with silly Simpsons stuff. I just love it. I love this short. The short then cuts to Homer getting his hands on the 0 point shard, and goes out to make Springfield a paradise. Wait, not that paradise. Homer then enters Moe's, where Moe thanks him for all the improvements he's made, and the short ends with Moe warning Homer that Hope and Jones are looking for him. Overall, this short was really good. It sets the groundwork for the story this season. We get to hear Fortnite characters interact with the Simpson characters, and it can be really funny at times. We even got a remake of the show. What more could you possibly want out of a Simpsons short? 9 out of 10. And then you get back to the event, and what is this countdown? It just looks ugly. The basic donuts are falling at like 3 frames per second. The basic font countdown with an ugly outline just looks bad. I don't like it. Let's just fast forward to the season launch. At like 4 p.m., the season would finally launch. Starting up the game, we see this lobby background being outside the Simpson household. And finally, after so many years, we have a 3D lobby. For people who don't know, for years, lobbies would have this gray panel, and it just looks so ugly. It ruins the immersion of the lobby, and they finally removed it. It looks so good. I love it. But now let's move on to the Battle Pass, and at Tier 1, we have a new type of cosmetic, sidekicks. Sidekicks were finally added this season, and are the evolution of pets from Chapter 1. And these things are amazing. You can customize them, they can follow you around, they can emote, you can even name them, so you could be normal and give them a name after a pet, or any normal name, or you can name them Kirk Destroyer, and that's okay. You can customize this pet so much and truly make them yours. It's a shame that if you make a mistake, you'll have to take out a mortgage to buy another one. These sidekicks look so good, but for some reason, these things are so expensive, and once you customize them, you can't change how they look. And if you want to change how your sidekick looks, oh well then cough up another 1,500 V-Bucks. So despite there being tons of cool pets, I'm stuck with Peelpul, Lakotos, and Ludwig, and I will not be buying any other sidekicks. I will not be buying any more. Under no circumstance will I ever buy another Fortnite sidekick. Yowie is the best boy and you know it. And then we have the rest of the Battle Pass. We have Marge Simpson at the end of page 1. This skin looks so accurate to the original. And if you're worried about the hair being a pretty big giveaway, look at this, boom, you could just curl it down. And then we have the witch style for Marge, making her look even better. Next skin is Blinky Fish Stick, and for some reason, people hate this skin. People just despise the idea of mashup skins in the Battle Pass, but this skin is pretty silly. I mean, just look at him. He's just a silly little fish. How could you possibly hate this? He also comes with some other rewards and styles, but who cares? This is a good mashup skin. I like it. Then next up, we got Ned Flanders. And this skin has so much aura. He's Ned Flanders. What more could I possibly say about him? You know who he is. He's Ned Flanders. And then you have the stupid sexy Flanders style. This skin is just amazing. And then finally for now, we have Homer Simpson. And what more do you want me to say? He's Homer Simpson, the most clickbaited, highly wanted skin in the game. And now he's here as the tier 50. If you don't know, this is tier 50, this is a mini season, catch up. This isn't even mentioning how he has an evil Homer style and a donut black bingle. It's Homer Simpson, I love him. And now we're done with everything, so let's move on to the gameplay, and oh, the servers are down. Yeah, so when the season launched, the servers went down for a few hours. Not ideal for a season launch, but with the power of video editing, we could just skip this server crash, and wow, we're in The Simpsons. Can you believe it? We're in The Simpsons. Loading into a game, we have the new Spawn Island, and it's nothing crazy, just a row of buildings with some areas around it, but it's got the charm of not being the same Chapter 6 Spawn Island, so that counts for something. Let's get into a game. Every game starts with The Simpsons intro. I know technically it's nothing crazy, but it still looks really cool and it adds so much charm to games that just never got old. I love it. Along with that, the battle bus got a new look, now having a Duff, I mean Slurp balloon, because Fortnite can't have beer in it, along with a random message on the side of the bus, and these can be pretty funny. And now Otto is our bus driver. Okay, fine, let's finally jump out of the battle bus and get onto Springfield Island. The Simpsons season takes place on a new map. By messing with the spaceship, Hope and Jones have created a new version of Springfield, created specifically for Fortnite, and that is Springfield Island. Now, if you have, well, functioning eyes, you may notice this map is a lot smaller than any BR map we've had before. This map is just a wee bit bigger than a reload map, and this smaller map helps the pacing issue so much. Because if you played Chapter 6, you would know how big this map is, leading to a huge pacing issue in matches. And thank goodness there's no thing like a giant Megazord or giant Homer boss roaming around the map that you could become. And with the few locations they added, they managed to put so much effort into making each one of these locations feel unique. The power plant, the cornfield, and that one place that accidentally had the name of weed in it is all you need to describe these locations. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. Compare that to last season where we have OXR base overrun by bugs. bugs, an OXR base overrun by bugs, and make sure not to get that confused with the city overrun by bugs. If you look at the Chapter 6 map near the end, it is a mess. So many of these locations are filler and nobody landed there, but compare that to Springfield Island and every location feels like it belongs. Okay, so I just realized how much of the script is just ripping into the Chapter 6 island, so let's get into the actual locations of Springfield Island. Firstly, you've got Mayor's Munchies, quickly renamed to Corruption Corner after learning that Munchies isn't a very good word to put in a Fortnite location. Mayor's Munchies, while just being a suburban area, stands out by having the courthouse and Durburger here, along with its great location in the corner of the map, making it a great spot to land for some low early games. That sounded a bit too nerdy, so let's move on. Burns Manor is a bit north of Mayor's Munchies, and this location is the only mansion on the map, just being one big building with a garden area outside the mansion. The mansion has several big rooms and tight hallways for fights, while the garden is completely open with almost no cover, making Burns Manor feel surprisingly different from other locations. Surprisingly, despite Mr. Burns getting 2 locations, he never got a skin in game. Yeah, and of course the second of those locations is the Springfield Nuclear Power Plant, which, fun fact, is the only location in Fortnite history to have a name with 4 words in it. This location is extremely similar to Steamy Stacks from Chapter 2, mainly because Steamy Stacks was inspired by this location. So now things have just come full circle to having the power plant in Fortnite. Yeah, this is a pretty cool location. Got some fun buildings for fights, and we have iconic locations like Homer's Workstation, which I'll get to later. Camp Krusty is west of the power plant, and I swear this is the most slept on location on this map. Like, I swear nobody landed here, but this place has such good loot, and it's the only location with a capture point. And while this location gives blue loot, Pine swears that it can give purple guns, which it does, but don't tell her that. More of the story, land Camp Krusty. It's a great location. But do you want to know a location that isn't great? Cletus Cornhole. This place is tucked all the way over here in the top left of the map, and yeah, this location's just alright. Let's be honest, nobody dropped Cletus Cornhole until a change was made much later into the season that we can't talk about yet. Evergreen Terrace is just south of the Cornhole, and this is a much better location. You may recognize the name Evergreen Terrace, and that's because this is where the Simpsons household is. You can literally go to the Simpsons house and say hi to Marge, or even go to the Flanders household and say hi to Ned Flanders. Springfield Slurpworks is the most forgettable location on this map. Take the power plant from earlier, make it more compact, and add a bunch of slurp and boom, Springfield Slurpworks. That's the entire location. The Donut District is just east of Springfield Slurpwork, and this location is just a pretty standard town, but the layout of this place is pretty cool. You have all the buildings on one side and then this diner and a giant donut on the other side. There's also a sign saying death and taxes, the 2 things I avoid from Mr. Burns. What's not to love about this location? And then the final location on this map is Springfield Town Square, and you may not believe this from the name, but this is in the center of the map. Town Square serves as an action-packed central location similar to Tilted Towers. You could always find a place to fight here, making it a great location. Man, that's all I really have to say on the town square. Yeah, this location was pretty good. I liked it. This map is small, but it makes great use of that space, which is unless if you're playing zero build like me, because this map is not made for zero build. There are tons of tall mountains and open fields, and it can get pretty frustrating to fight on this map. Thankfully, unlike Remix, they actually kept bunkers in the loot pool the entire season, and this map isn't nearly as bad as the Chapter 2 map. And hey, it's the funny Simpsons map. It's only gonna stay for a month, so I better enjoy the Simpsons locations while they last. And the Simpsons locations don't even stop at actual locations. We have tons of references like Carlstad's Caverns, the place where Homer fought Peter, or even the Tire Fire, which allows you to fly. The funny couches around the map, Homer's car, Birdie Marts around the map. Every place on this map has some sort of reference to The Simpsons. No matter how hard you try, no matter where you look, you cannot escape The Simpsons. It's not a Fortnite season without guns. Okay, so it's not a good Fortnite season without guns. And with the Simpsons theme, you would think you have some crazy cel-shaded made-up guns, but no, these are just normal Fortnite guns. For assault rifles, you have 3 choices. The infantry rifle is alright, I guess. This weapon has a pretty slow fire rate in exchange for high damage and perfect accuracy. The only problem is that I can't aim. If you hit a string of shots with the infantry rifle, you can do some insane damage, but I can't. You can call it a skill issue all you want, but I never really use the infantry rifle. Also, for engagement, I'm gonna put all these on a tier list, so the infantry rifle is a D tier. I hate it. The suppressed assault rifle is just an assault rifle, but you're gonna want to sit down for this one. It's suppressed. This is your all-around standard weapon. You can never go wrong with it, and I can't really say much more about it. It is the standard assault rifle, as basic as it gets. It's not a bad thing, it's just basic. A tier. The final assault rifle is the Striker AR, and you may be confused upon hearing that name because the Striker AR was in Chapter 5, which means that it had bullet drop. And I'm not explaining bullet drop for this video, just know it makes weapons worse, okay? Okay, we're moving on. But for the Simpsons season, they actually reworked this weapon to make it hit scan, like pretty much every other weapon. And I really liked this weapon. It's a fast-firing assault rifle, similar to something like the Combat AR, just without the insane recoil. While this gun is almost useless at long range, at any other distance, this gun shreds. Easy S tier, I love the Striker. And then you've got yourself some shotguns. The Thunder shotgun works like a pump shotgun. You may ask, if this gun works like a pump, then why wouldn't you just bring back the pump? And I don't know. Fortnite always has some sort of obsession with not just bringing back the pump. But aside from that, the Thunder shotgun is alright. It's a pump shotgun with a wider spread, so I can hit shots easier. I like this thing. A tier. But the best shotgun this season is the tactical shotgun. Wait, so they're willing to bring back the standard tactical shotgun, but not the standard pump? Yeah, you know the tactical shotgun works. It's been in the game for years, and I still love it to death to this day. But for some reason, they didn't bring back the higher rarity models, making this thing look very cursed. But at the end of the day, it's still the tactical shotgun. It was my primary shotgun this season. It also gets an A tier, but this A tier is cooler. Oh yeah, there's also the Ranger shotgun. A high-risk, high-reward shotgun that can never kill, but it does a lot of damage. So if you hit a good ranger shot, you could finish up the player with another weapon like an SMG, which is our next category. Oh yeah, the ranger gets a B, I guess. I didn't really care for it, but Double A seemed to like it, so I'll let it slide. There are also two SMGs this season, the Compact SMG and the Machine SMG. Are any of them good? No, these two feel almost identical, except the Machine SMG looks cooler. So because of that, the Compact gets a D tier and the Machine SMG gets a C tier. I'm not biased whatsoever. And finally, there's the Suppressed Pistol. It exists. It's not bad, but it's not good either. D tier. But there is another pistol this season, which is good. So it's time for me to transition to the funny Simpsons weapons this season. It's a Simpsons season, of course we're gonna have a couple of goofy Simpsons items, so let me introduce you to the Mr. Blasty. This is a brand new revolver that shoots insanely fast and does insane damage. With the catch that this is a revolver, so you actually have to hit shots to do damage, which I've already addressed I can't do. But that doesn't matter, because if I can lock in and hit my shots, this thing is deadly. The only problem is that this pistol is so hard to find. But if the only problem of a weapon is that it's hard to find, that's how you know you've got a good weapon. S tier. There's also 3 bosses scattered around the map. Instead of spawning at a preset location, these bosses spawn randomly in the middle of a match, and I'm split on this. On one hand, having a boss spawn randomly means you can drop wherever you want and not have to worry about getting some stupid medallion. But on the other hand, whoever gets the boss comes down to whoever's lucky enough to find them. There's no way to go after these weapons, you just randomly find them. Which is a problem because these weapons are the strongest guns the entire season, and whoever gets them just comes down to chance. They made Homer clones later in the season, and those always showed up on the map no matter how far away you were, so why didn't they do that with the bosses too? And you may be wondering, well, what loot do these bosses drop anyway? Well, for 2 of these bosses, the mythic weapon is nothing special. Witch March drops a mythic SMG, and Evil Homer drops a mythic tactical shotgun. Both of these are just a little better, but nothing worth talking about. But the best boss here is easily Krusty, who drops an exotic Mr. Blasty. That's right, not mythic, this is an exotic. Krusty's Mr. Blasty shoots a balloon blast on the first shot that attaches balloons to players and shockwaves anyone in a blast radius, which can also easily be repeated by reloading this gun. This gun also has a really short reload time. Oh, this thing can be so annoying. Being able to infinitely send players into the air where they are defenseless is a little bit overpowered. And this gun doesn't take any aiming to use either, just shoot it somewhat near a player and they'll be launched in the air. And in zero build, on a map with little cover, being forced out of any cover you have can make for a very overpowered item. And then you mix that with having whoever gets this item come down to luck creates a very one-sided gun that honestly is really fun to use, but extremely annoying to go up against. Which reminds me, is there something else that's extremely fun to use but extremely annoying to go up against that we're forgetting this season? Alright, after the last season had some overpowered medallions, what do we have to deal with this time? Oh, medallions are gone. Medallions are gone. Yeah, that's right, medallions are just completely gone after last season. They even got rid of medallions in Blitz. That's how done they were with these things. I mean, there is the head thing, but that takes up an inventory slot and it's not even worth talking about. But now, with overpowered medallions gone, the loot pool gets a chance to shine. And as I've already said, this loot pool shines. This loot pool is just guns, and there's no A280 naming shit like the Star Wars season, and there's no kneecap or baby items like a season like Lawless. We do have a few goofy items, but they're not insanely overpowered. The funny items we have this season are divided into two categories. Firstly, there's healing items. You have the Slushy that gives you the funny slap effect, the Blinky Fish, which is a reskinned 0-point fish, and the Krusty Burgers, which are a little bit overpowered. You also have some returning items like the Chug Jug or the Gold Slurp Juice, only found at the power plant, and sadly, Flowberry Fizz did not return this season. And then there's also a terrible selection of mobility items. Yay. Yeah, some items like the fish or slushy give you mobility, but just ignore that I already talked about them. Since this season has a tiny map, not a lot of mobility is needed, which means we only really have 2 mobility items, and it's a shame they picked the 2 most annoying ones, cars and shockwave grenades. Surprisingly, cars aren't as annoying as they were in Chapter 6. There's very few of them on the map, and they actually got a speed nerf, making them a lot more manageable. But I wish I could say the same about shockwaves. Shockwaves suck. In every other season shockwaves have been in, sure they could be a bit annoying, but they're tame compared to the other items. But now these other items are gone, meaning that every single player has shockwaves. Countless times this season I've gotten somebody low just for them to throw down a shockwave and get away for completely free. Every time. Every single time I was in a fight this season and heard the sound of a shockwave grenade, the smile on my face just fades away in record time. Because I swear, every time this item was used, the fight just comes down to the same thing. Do I have a shockwave player? If no, the baby player gets off scot-free. If yes, then do I have more than this player? If no, then the little baby player gets off scot-free. But if yes, then prepare to spend the next few minutes chasing this player around to either kill them, or get third-partied, or have them run away in a car in which the baby player gets off scot-free. Oh, I don't want to talk about shockwaves anymore. I've already made a full video on them, I just don't want to talk about them. Let's move on. I'm pretty sure that's about everything at launch, and of course, as per usual, I will not be checking Fortnite Wiki to see if I forgot anything, because I can't be bothered. Well, I mean, there were 2 weapons added to Delulu. Actually, you know what? They were added to BR like a week later. Let's go over these. The Deodorant Applicator and Cobalt Slingshot were Delulu exclusive items for like a week. And sadly, these items were also extremely rare, so I barely got to use them. The Slingshot especially was so rare that I recorded tons of footage near the end of the season just trying to find this thing. So was it worth it? Are these items any good? Well, no, I mean, they're fine. The Deodorant Applicator is just a ray gun. If you played Chapter 4 Season 3, you may recognize this as the Bender ray gun, because these are almost the exact same weapon. But this one has a funny animation, and some of you should really learn what this word means. B tier. The Cobalt Slingshot, however, is actually pretty fun. If you know how to use this thing, you can hit shots for insane damage. And this slingshot just has aura. It's like the Blade Blaster, but actually cool. I wish I got to use this more. While we did get a few skins in the shop, that's about everything for the launch of the season. This season launch was actually really strong. You've got the wackiness of The Simpsons mixed with Fortnite, making for an incredible season. I honestly can't believe I'm saying this, but if this season can keep it up, this might just go down as one of the best seasons of all time.
Yeah, the funny Simpsons stuff is cool and all, but like, what about the lore?
the lore?
Yeah, before you were talking about all this joy and funny Simpsons stuff, you were talking about the Homer storyline. What actually happened to that? Some of us actually care about the Simpsons storyline and would like to know what happens next in the story, thank you very much.
Oh yeah, the story! As we got used to this new island, Homer continued to make improvements to Springfield. Small things would appear like removing stop signs or no Flanders zones. And the result of these changes was shown to us in our next Simpsons short and the second part of this season.
A huge cream pie on me! I'm a clown! It's only funny when I throw the pie!
The second Simpsons short, Sugar High, was released to us alongside our first update of the Simpsons season. So let's go over the short first and then break down everything added in the update. This short is broken up into 4 parts. We start off where the first short left off, Homer using his remote to improve the town, mainly by turning Professor Frink into Peely and turning the clouds into donuts. And yeah, this is Homer, of course he's gonna make food rain from the sky, what else would you expect? The short then cuts to a trailer for the new updates, and no spoilers, so let's just not talk about this section. We then cut to the townsfolk getting mad at the raining food and wanting to take the 0 point back from Homer. This leads to our final section of the short where Homer goes to the power plant to dispose of the 0 point shard, but then gets a bit distracted by a candy bar, causing him to fall into the nuclear waste. This short ends with tons of Homer clones getting created and getting ready to invade the island. But I'm sure we have nothing to worry about. Overall, this short didn't really hit as hard as the first one, but it was still pretty good. 7 out of 10. But come on, we can't worry about this short for too long because we have a new Battle Royale update with tons of new content, so let's talk about that instead. The highlight of this update is easily the new Donut Rain. Now every storm circle, new donut storms will form, causing donuts to rain from the sky. The only problem is that these donuts always go to the edge of the zone, which means that unless you're in the end game, these are never in your way. If anything, you need to go out of your way to interact with the donut storms, which just makes them a bit of a neat thing you can do instead of an active element in your games. But then again, that could also be an effect of how annoying these things are. When donuts fall from the sky, some will stay and give you some pretty good loot, but if a donut hits you, you take a ton of damage. And I mean, a ton of damage. It's also just really hard to predict when the donuts will hit you, so you have to pay very close attention to the sky if you want to live, making donut storms a very high risk for a very high reward. Or you could always just shockwave out of a donut storm. Thankfully, we did actually get a new mobility item this update, the cartoon chainsaw. This is just the chainsaw but with a funny animation. I mean, look at them go, it's so silly. I'm sorry, it's just such a funny animation, I love it. But other than the goofy animations, the chainsaw is just an incredible mobility item. The chainsaw doesn't have any durability, so you can just keep on going. The chainsaw also had a melee attack, but nobody really used it. The next item we got this update was the 5-gun. Oh, this thing was good. At first, I thought this was going to be some annoying item, because I mean, just look at this thing. But no, this item is actually balanced. The first shot of this gun is a shotgun, and then every other shot is an SMG. Neither the shotgun or SMG are strong, meaning that this is just a lackluster SMG with a shotgun attached. I do however find it funny whenever Fortnite players get an item that requires the tiniest bit of thinking and strategy to use, meaning that Fortnite players use little to no thought and just use this thing as a free kill machine, meaning that I get a free kill against somebody using the useless 5-gun. But ignoring the fact that I just called this thing the useless 5-gun, it really wasn't even a bad gun. Using a 5-gun slightly knocks players back, which throws them off guard, and if you can hit your shots, this thing can be brutal. It's just that just like the Mist form from Chapter 6 Season 3, this thing requires the tiniest bit of brain power to use, which means most Fortnite players can't use it. B tier. Also, the cartoon chainsaw gets an A tier. I forgot to say that, my bad. Speaking of Mo, we also got him as a boss on the map, dropping a mythic striker AR. Along with him, we also got Lisa in the shop alongside Tyler the Creator. I have no clue why Fortnite just randomly dropped Tyler the Creator in the middle of a Simpsons season, but sure, I'm glad he's finally in the game, why not? And would you believe me if I said that was pretty much it for content this update? If I'm being honest, I wish we got a bit more this update. For Remix and OG, we got full loot pool changes every week, whereas now we got a gun or two added to the loot pool. It's just a little bit underwhelming to go from these giant loot pool changes to smaller updates, but I'm sure it won't be like that forever. But with this being the last part of this update, that means we have a brand new Simpsons short to look forward to. So let's go ahead and cut to...
Now, kids, I'm gonna blast your daddy in slow motion. So, you'll wanna watch.
Our third Simpsons short released alongside the final update of the season, and just like last time, this short is broken up into 3 parts. The short starts off with Homer clones taking over Evergreen Terrace, with Bart, Lisa, and Officer Wiggins taking on the Homer clones. Officer Wiggins even uses the kill switch revolvers, which never got added this season. Disappointing. Little side rant, but there was a lot of stuff cut this season. As I hinted about when talking about last update, there was a lot. A makeup shotgun was just completely finished but not added. The retirement home was meant to be a location on the map, and the kill switch revolvers and burst ARs showed up in trailers but were never added to the loot pool. You saw this effect with how short last segment is and how short the remaining sections are for this video, but there's just not a lot of content after the season launched. Most likely this is due to the season only being a month long. I mean, we've got a giant event in just 5 to 10 minutes of this video, and then a giant chapter launch after that. How much effort does Epic really want to put into maintaining the funny Simpsons season? But even if you compare this season to a season like Remix, we got tons more content there. Several weapons were added to the loot pool every single week. Just something as simple as changing up the loot pool every week would add a lot more value to this season. But if I'm being honest, this season felt a lot more like the Star Wars season, where they only had like 2 real updates. If this season was a bit longer, I could see them putting more resources into it, but this is the last update for this season, meaning we still have 2 weeks left. And a bit of a spoiler, but next short would not release with an update. In fact, it barely released with any content at all. Oh yeah, we were talking about a short. I completely forgot about that. Bart and Lisa realized that by killing Homer clones, a gas was released into the air, forming a Homer cloud, which we actually saw in game. Neat detail. The short then plays a trailer for next update, but once again, spoilers, so I'm not going to show that. The short then ends with cutting to next week, where the clouds formed into a giant Homer with the 0 point shard inside of him. And that's where the short ends. If I'm being honest, while these shorts are still cool to have, most of them besides the first one are just forgettable. The pacing is extremely fast, and these shorts jump between things extremely quickly, meaning we don't really have that many memorable moments from these. These shorts fall under the same problem where if they were just a little bit longer, these shorts would be a lot better. And this short really shows the issues of pacing, and I just don't really care for it. 6 out of 10. And now let's go on to the update this season. I mean, it's a minor update, so I'm sure they didn't add that much. Oh, they added a good bit of stuff this update. Yeah, so for some reason, this was the biggest update we got this season. Firstly, we need to talk about the water. Since Homer melted the 0 point shard, it infected the water supply. The water is now purple and works like the Hell Rivers from Chapter 5. Did this river have a name? I don't think so, and once again, I'm too lazy to check the Fortnite wiki, so I'll just stop talking about it and move on. The power plant also got some changes because it now has low gravity and some pink smoke coming out. And it looks like a gender reveal party's going on here, so congrats on your baby girl, power plant worker. But we also have nuclear waste in Cletus's cornhole. You used to be able to collect some tomatoes from this location, but nobody cared about that. Except now, the tomatoes are glowing and have a question mark, so that's how you know they're better. These new tomatoes can be thrown down like a chug splash to give some health, and 45 seconds of low gravity. Like, that is a lot of low gravity. These things are incredibly useful because while the low gravity isn't that good, it is a lot of low gravity. It just keeps on going. And these tomatoes have a max stack size of 6, and 45 seconds of low gravity times 6 tomatoes equals 5 minutes and 30 seconds of low gravity. I'm very good at math. This makes getting a full stack of tomatoes very valuable, especially if you combine that with shockwaves or if you use any of the new items this update. Did you guys like my transition? Alongside this update, Homer clones now spawn around the map with a giant donut above them. The clones themselves aren't that interesting, they're just zombies from Season 6 but less annoying. The more interesting thing is the reward you get. When you destroy the donut above the Homer clones, more Homer clones spawn, but you also get a random mythic weapon. These are weapons that aren't normally in the loot pool, and they all come with a little buff. They're also all covered in pink goop and have very confusing names, so let's go through and review each one of these. The Dragon's Belt Shotgun sucks. This gun has one shot that does a lot of damage before it needs to reload, but the amount of damage this shotgun does not outweigh the risk of this shotgun either missing your shot or doing 20 damage. And because of this, I die a lot from what a lot of people would call a skill issue. But me personally, I blame it on the weapon. This gun sucks. D tier. The Tamzaranian Twin Mag SMG. I'm sorry, but could you make these names a bit less confusing, please? You know what, screw it. The Twin Mag SMG with no special name, just a Twin Mag SMG. If you noticed anything special at all while using this SMG, you're just insane. This is the Twin Mag SMG, but that's okay, because we love the Twin Mag SMG. The embiggened assault rifle with an actually decently normal name adds on to the cursed looking weapons with a mythic assault rifle using the low tier model. This assault rifle has the special effect of a higher headshot multiplier. This effect isn't really that useful on an automatic assault rifle, but you know what? It's cool enough to have. And fun fact, this thing is the exact same thing as the enhanced assault rifle from last season. I know my niche Fortnite facts. But if you can hit a lot of headshots with this thing, sure, you're gonna do pretty well. But me personally, if you can't tell already, I can't aim. So this thing's fine. B tier. And of course, I had to save the best for last, with the Red Eye Karamba assault rifle. This weapon is the only red dot in the loot pool, making it a very powerful tool to have. Not only that, but the special ability of this gun is that it has an increased fire rate when aiming in. This gun can be deadly, but it's nowhere near as bad as something like the MK or the Hollow Twister. And it's a reward for defeating the Homer clones, which is a pretty hard task to do. So you know what, this gun's really good, but you gotta do some work to get it. Getting this gun doesn't come down to complete luck. So this gun gets an easy S tier. The Homer clones actually provided a unique goal to go for each game, and unlike the bosses, all Homer clones were marked on the map. I actually really like the Homer clones. They serve as such a nice mid-game objective, while also not being like the bosses and coming down to complete luck. And the rewards they drop can range from completely useless to really good. These things were neat, I like them. And that was everything added in part 3. As I said, it's technically more content, but it's still not a lot to go over. You can really tell things are starting to wrap up as we're reaching the end point of the season. And now we only have one part before we reach the finale of the season. So let's go ahead and cut to part 4 and the final update of the Simpsons season.
You don't have a lot of friends, do you?
Ah, sure she does.
The Incredible Bulk is the final short released during the Simpsons season, and it keeps getting worse. The short starts off with all of our characters trying to shrink Homer down to normal size and get the 0 point shard back. The gang does manage to get Homer to burp out the 0 point shard, but there's still one problem. Homer is giant. So now that Homer is still a giant, Hope and Jones convince him to help take down the Demon Master, who for some reason is only called the Demon Master in this short, and every other mention of him is the Dark Presence. So why are they called the Demon Master in this short? I have no clue. But who cares now, Homer's joining us. Let's go take down the Dark Presence. Yeah, I don't really like this short. It just feels like nothing's going on. We can't even see Jones get the shard. We just cut back after a trailer and boom, Jones has the shard now. This whole short is just everyone talking to Homer and then just nothing's going on. The whole short just started as everyone trying to get Homer back to normal size, then just going, well, I guess Homer's giant forever. Want to go fight the Demon Master? The short is meh. I don't like it. 4 out of 10. And then as for the content with this part, it's pretty much nothing. The hunting rifle was added to rotation, and despite being in every single trailer, it was only added for the last week of the season. But you know what? I'm willing to forgive it because, man, what's not to love about the hunting rifle? It's a great sniper and it also serves as a great shotgun. Yeah, I started just taking the hunting rifle just to get as close as possible to people, and I would either do no damage or instantly click my mouse and kill somebody. The hunting rifle is such a fun gun to use, and it's a shame it was only added at the end of the season because I just wanted to use this thing more. S tier. Hey, wait a minute. What happened to the storm? In order to tease the upcoming chapter, Fortnite made it so that occasionally the storm was in the shape of a 7. And I actually managed to get footage of this. I'm looking at you, Lord Zed Power Hour. 7 storms are clunky and weird. The shape of these storms just does not flow well. I mean, it's a giant 7. Of course it's not going to be fun to play. But, you know what? It was fun to experience the storm in this weird shape. And you know what? For the storm being in a weird shape for the first time this season, it was pretty cool. And while gameplay-wise it kinda sucked, it was pretty cool, so I'll just ignore the issues and enjoy looking at the funny storm. But now our time on this island has come to an end, and it's time to say goodbye to this map and goodbye to Chapter 6 as a whole, because now this season is over, and we just have one event left to take us to Chapter 7, and now the hour has hit 0. Wait, 0 hour?
Take back our island.
Chapter 6 ends off in one final event called 0 Hour, and oh my god, it's perfect. The event starts off with Hope and Jones preparing the Rift device to return to the Chapter 6 island, while Jones prepares people to come help us take back the island. We finally leave Springfield, but the Rift device malfunctions and we end up going through tons of realities. From Star Wars to Fall Guys to Hatsune Miku, until we finally make it back to Oninoshima. Except now it's been corrupted, and the whole map has been taken over by the Dark Presence. As we get ready to fight the Dark Presence, we get help from across reality, as every character from Chapter 6 riffs onto the island to come help us. From Daigo and the Spirit Siblings, to the Supernovas, to the OXR, Godzilla, Sub-Zero, the Star Destroyer, Superman, even the Megazord and Steal a Brainrot show up. Every single character from Chapter 6 comes to the island to help us defeat the Dark Presence in one final fight for our island. And oh my god, where do I even begin talking about this event? It's just so good. This event just feels like a final battle where everything is on the line. You see everyone rushing towards the Dark Presence and it's crazy to see. And unlike other events, you actually feel like you're fighting alongside the characters. You're not just walking for 20 minutes or holding down the mouse button, you're joining in on the fight alongside everyone else. It's the perfect mix of cinematic and gameplay, and the fight feels like anyone could win because the Dark Presence was actually written up to be a threatening character. Of course, everything in this event is not going to change depending on what you do, but man, just let me have my fun. This feels so cool to do. Eventually, the path gets blocked by Godzilla, so we have to go up by helicopter, and Huntrix! Nikkei 30! Miku Miku Beam! Now we have a section of flying around in a helicopter shooting the Dark Presence, all while How It's Done from K-Pop Demon Hunters is playing in the background. Oh my god, this section was just so good. The Dark Presence then hits down our helicopter, launching everyone back and separating us from everyone else. And now we have to face off against a giant tentacle blocking the path, until the bride from Kill Bill! And now we're riding past every single character from Chapter 6, helping us along the way. Except for Kendo. Even Ziggy and Beavis and Butthead are here. This event doesn't feel like collab slop or just a moment for show. The moment carries the weight of seeing everyone in the fight. Every friend, every foe, even characters from other game modes like OG and Ballistic are working together to save the island. Every single piece of Chapter 6 is here to help us save the island. And honestly, this is just insane. We then get on a jetpack and go to the final act of the event, where Jones gets the idea to rift in the cube. But not just any cube, but Revin the Cube from Fortnite OG. And clearly the Dark Presence is not an OG, so he shoots the beam at the cube and gets hit back. But then the Dark Presence throws Kong at the cube, launching it back, and as the cube is about to explode, Mecha Team Leader comes in and kicks the cube, launching it at the Dark Presence. The cube then explodes, killing the Dark Presence and saving Oninoshima from all the corruption. And as we float in the air, we get one last good look at Oninoshima. All the memories we made on this map, the good, the bad, and you know what? Let's just enjoy the moment as we say goodbye to this season. I've already gushed about this season enough. The map, the loot pool, it all flows together to make a great season. However, this season being a mini season weighed it down a good bit. as a lot of the content was just cut from the season. If this season was just a bit longer, there's no doubt we would have seen this stuff in game. But sadly, most resources for the season went into 0 Hour in Chapter 7, so the Simpsons season had to lose a lot in order to make this great event. Chapter 6 as a whole was a really good chapter. It had its low points, a good bit of low points, and they were pretty low, but it was matched with some very high highs. It really doesn't feel like that long ago when we first entered the map, watched as the 0 Point Shard crashed onto this new island, and met new characters we would get to know throughout the chapter. And now here we are. Oni no Shima is saved, and the storylines of these characters we met have come to an end. And somehow, it just feels right that this chapter ended with a season about the Simpsons season. At first, I went into this season absolutely dreading it, but somehow the Simpsons season managed to end this chapter off with a bang and the most story-rich season of this chapter. I never thought I'd be saying this, but the Simpsons season was almost perfect. And I was wrong. This season was almost perfect, and really shows the wackiness of Fortnite. And therefore, I'm gonna have to give the Simpsons season an S tier. But now our time on the island has come to an end. Oni no Shima is saved, and now the 0 Point Shard sucks us in and takes us to a new reality, ending off Chapter 6 and beginning a new chapter of Fortnite. The event then ends with a video about the lore of the 0 Point, recapping everything we know about the 0 Point, and catching the people up who stopped caring at the end of Chapter 3. I know it's a lot of you, but more importantly, this video tells us about the Seven, their role, and their disappearance from the island 3 years ago. And this video ends with the fate of the Seven currently being unknown.